Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Pop Screen, the geek show podcast that covers the good, the bad, and the ridiculous of movies, either starring by or about pop stars. No, the podcast covers a broad range of genres, from country and western to hip hop, from documentaries to science fiction. I'm your host, Graham Williamson. I'm a short filmmaker and regular writer for the Geek Show, and I've been joined for this episode by
Ian Robinson. I'm a photographer, filmmaker, and writer.
And it must be said, Bruce Springsteen superfan.
Just a bit, yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
I'll accept that burden.
Which is why I reached out to you, because obviously there's a Bruce Springsteen biopic in the cinemas at the moment, Deliver Me From Nowhere by Scott Cooper. We decided to tackle the subject from a slightly roundabout way by talking about the Bruce Springsteen film you might have forgotten, which is Chadha's 2019 film Blinded by the Light.
Yes. Yeah.
Had you seen this before?
When it came out, yes. And I found I had to remind myself, to be honest. Getting old. But yeah, no, I watched it this afternoon, and it was the cheerfully naive and gleefully cringeworthy joy that I remember it as being. So it's 2019, yeah. Good God, yeah.
2019. I think it got lost because 2019 was maybe the last year in which people just took for granted the idea that there will be a lot of good films coming out at the cinema.
Yeah. I spent a while searching for it on streams, and I found the BBC have got it, so it's still there. But it's. I mean, Springsteen himself mentioned it. I think the last time he was on Graham Norton or something, they were mentioning the fact that they said this isn't the first film featuring yourself, and he quite likes Blinded by the Light, I think. So it's quite fun. And of course, the guy who wrote it,
Safras Mansour.
Yeah, he's a super fan. He's met and been hundreds of times. So I can only stand in his shadow. I've only been to see him 7 times. It's not the same, really.
But seeing Bruce Springsteen 7 times means at least 286 hours of concert.
Yeah, they go on. They're worth the money.
Yeah,
You really get your money's worth, and I'll never forget taking my friends to it, and the one in Sunderland, which it rained biblically. In fact, every time I've seen Springsteen, it's rained. So. I'm sorry. And my friends were just like, where's the support act? I was like, you have not been indoctrinated in the ways of the Bruce. He says he doesn't have a support act since 75. He goes on for days, So yeah, that was fun. And about an hour and a half in, the friends linked to me and said, he hasn't stopped yet. I says, he hasn't started yet. What you're on about? It's and unfortunately, the other thing was that with the surgery happening, that I had the heart surgery I had in just at 3 months, and now I can't even remember which month that was. August 1st. Bruce was coming back again for his 3rd run through Europe on the last world tour, and he was playing at Anfield, Liverpool's ground, which. For me would have been the double holy grail. I could have died happy at that. I mean, I was willing to take the risk, but I was told there's no way in God's earth you are going to a concert especially one that you love that much, in a place that you love that much, with your current condition, and I wouldn't have managed it. So
yeah.
This
mixture of listeners of fanaticism, of devotion to a level that is almost suicidal, is pretty much in line with how Blinded by the Light depicts Springsteen fandom, I think.
It was joyously naive and fun. It has to be naive because there is a naive exuberance to the era of Springsteen that he focuses on. Born to Run, Darkness, Born in the USA, The River. We talked about the Deliver Me from Nowhere. Nebraska does not appear in this Blinded by the Light. There is at no point where he's feeling low and the song about the stock where the serial killer comes in. Mr. State Trooper. That doesn't happen. Which I don't know if that's an outtake, but it would be quite amusing, I think. But this is the exuberant film with the heartbreak in the fifth act and the resolution where they save the youth centre at the end. But there is Springsteen fans. Every time I've been to them, I've never had any problem about sitting. I haven't gone to a gig on my own, but I've lost people in Hyde Park, and you just sit with them, and they all tell you how many times they've seen them. And when I went to see him in Manchester about 10 years ago, there was a couple in front of me checking out the hotel and checked out the T-shirt and said, they met in 1975 at the legendary Hammersmith gig, and they were married now. I was like, oh, wow. And I said, where are you going now? And they said, we're following him around Europe. I was like, wow. That's what it happens. I think you get fans. I don't know, is there? Morrissey fans were quite like that, but he didn't really.
You'd have to be these days, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm not really sure of people who would devotedly do that sort of thing. Taylor Swift, I suppose,
Yes,
yeah.
I realise this is the kind of question where asking you is just sort of wind him up and watch him go. But I feel like it has to be asked, what is it about Springsteen's music that inspires this kind of devotion?
It's funny because when I was 15, 16, 17, in the early 90s, the glory days of alternative rock sort of thing, when we had Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden, my other favourite band, and the Manic Street Preachers, they were far cooler. Yeah. They were far cooler. They were darker. They were louder. They were hipper. And you could actually wear the T-shirts in public. Bruce, very much. There's the Blinded by the Light does catch very well the "Isn't That Dad's Music" thing. Even though the Bruce fans would say, Joe Strummer of the Clash was a huge fan and would have nothing bad said against Bruce, but and he went through a whole era of being radically uncool. So it was never something I was very open about, and it certainly didn't seem to fit with the rest of my music tastes, really. Everyone would say, look at the Metallica T-shirt, and I'd say I'm bopping along to Bruce Springsteen. They're like, huh? And but no, it was very similar to what happened in the film. I'll be honest. Blinded by the Light does catch that. They dramatically did it within the middle of the '87 hurricane, which I thought was gloriously dramatically apt. I don't know if that actually did happen at the same time, but it was a magnificent piece of plotting, I thought they did.
Yes.
But I think I've tried to explain to people in the past, like bands like Alice in Chains, who I loved, and Soundgarden, they're very good at screaming about the depths of the hole they're in. But to me, only Springsteen was the one that articulated how glorious and possible it was to get out of the hole.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And countless times I felt like I was at the bottom mentally, and the songs just came out and said, square your shoulders, and it can't get worse than this, right? So just bear it and get up, and that's probably about it. But they're not all like that. Some of them are just gloriously rock and roll ludicrous. Cadillac Ranch has got nothing to do with self-respect and building yourself up. But things like The Promised Land, you know, it's so simple. The Promised Land. I'm not a boy, I'm a man. You know, I mean, you might claim it's a bit sexist nowadays or whatever, but you know, you can switch the words around easily. But it's what it means, you know, because he can only sing from a white man's perspective, I suppose, which is, you know. But yeah, it is that, and there's, especially live, it's just ferocious, you know. Not in the tear the building down ferocious, but it's just even in their 70s, the band just do not let up. And you just get completely caught in it, and it is literally euphoria. It's, you know, magic moments that I will never forget. When I saw him in Hyde Park, it was sweltering, and just about 2 hours into the set, it started to rain slightly, and it was dark in Hyde Park in the middle of July, and just before it started to rain, Springsteen. Just before it started to rain, Springsteen said, sang the lyric, "Let it rain, let it rain, let it rain," and behold, the power of Bruce, it did.
Yeah.
But the thing is that warm summer rain coming on in the middle of the song, in the middle of the set, I will never, ever forget how wonderful that moment was. It was perfect, you know? So, yeah, it is just, you know, and at the same time, there's the dark stuff. I mean, Tunnel of Love, I mean, came out in '87, which is an album about divorce. That never, I suppose if you want to do a sequel to Blinded in the Light, then Tunnel of Love will be when he splits up with the girlfriend. But yeah, I mean, when I first started getting into Bruce, I bought from the Stockton Record Mart, Born to Run and Born in the USA on vinyl for £3 each. Saw them in HMV the other day for 40. Wow.
Yes.
But yeah, and then so that was it really. The two that I got, and then Darkness, were the ones, funnily enough, when I was watching Blinded by the Light, I thought, yeah, those are the three he started on, and I think that's probably the three that most fans are pushed towards, you know. Your first drink, so to say.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it really is just, and there's a sense of, it's really, really cheesy, but it's a sense of decency, sense of honesty. What you see is what you get. But also, I was talking to a friend who's a huge Coldplay fan, poor guy, and I said, at the same time, I said, there's a vast amount of cheese and ham in it. You know, and he went, "Yeah, I'm a Coldplay fan. What do you expect?" He says, "I've got no problem with that."
Yes,
and there's a massive amount of ham in it, but it's just you throw that sort of coolness out the door, and you just you know, it's a 70-year-old man singing Twist and Shout, and it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
And he knows it's ridiculous, you know. So it's there's no posing or something like that, and any of the posing that does happen is very sort of, we know it's a bit ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
And it's fun, it's euphoric, there's meaning, which Blinded by the Light delightfully texts across the screen for you at various moments, or hits you with a hurricane. So yeah, that's about it really. And it's certainly in the last 10 years he's had a return of cool, I think. I don't know about cool, but he's become more respected as sort of an elder statesman. I don't know. And I've just been handed a cup of tea. This is fantastic.
Lovely.
And yeah, especially it's weird that Bruce has become one of the more politicized artists in America at the moment. I think he's immune. A lot of smaller artists might not be able to do it, but he can just walk around and say, "What are you going to do?"
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I would take you on an election, Trump, and I would probably win.
Yeah, because this is lightly alluded to in the film, because it's not tremendously relevant to life in suburban Luton. But
yeah,
one of the big things about Springsteen that everyone knows is that Born in the USA is not as rah-rah America a song as Ronald Reagan thinks it is.
Yeah. And putting the fan hat on there again, it's, if you listen to the acoustic Dust Bowl Blues version, it's phenomenal. With the he plays it with a 12 string and a slide, it becomes something very different. There's no pounding. He only sings the chorus once, and the rest of it's, you know, very Dust Bowl bluesy. So, but yeah, this song, yeah, everyone says that one and they get it wrong. But there you go. Or Dancing in the Dark. The amount of times I've been to some wedding or something like that and said, "Oh, have you got any Bruce?" And Dancing in the Dark comes on. I said, "Oh, well, you know, it's better than Nout." You know.
Yeah.
But
there's something in the water in the 80s, because like my favourite band growing up were R.E.M., and Michael Stipe is always vocally horrified at the number of people who play The One I Love at their weddings.
Yeah. I saw R.E.M. in '95.
It's on in sweltering 99. Incredible.
Sweltering band. Huddersfield at McAlpine Stadium. Absolutely sweltering. But yeah, I can imagine once you get known for a big song, that you're doomed, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
because it's inevitably going to make your appeal broader than like the people who were devoted and the people who get it. You can't be exclusive when you've, you know, casting your net that wide.
I mean, yeah, with Dancing in the Dark and Born in the USA, he was specifically trying to be more mainstream.
Yeah.
He was actually aiming for it. Dancing in the Dark, he was told by his manager friend, John Landau, look, just give me a single, you know, just give me something to give to the record company.
Yeah.
And so he went, oh, okay. And yet, you know, it's a bouncy pop song that everyone loves and you hear it all the time. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's deeply depressing.
Yes.
It's the guy who just can't get out of his bedroom and his home is a wreck and he wants to change his clothes, his hair, his face. It's you know, it's, and I think the manager said to him, he says, yeah, I asked you for a pop song. Well done. Thanks for that. You know,
but the thing about, you know, the other side of it is that once you get out of that sort of pool of people who understand every lyric and relate to it on a completely authentic level, you can also speak to people who you would never dream would understand your music on a very deep and personal level, like Safras Mansour.
Yeah.
Should we give a bit of background to who he is and who his character in this movie is?
Yeah. The main character in the film. Yeah,
because he's based on the source author I was familiar with him as a very prolific journalist in the UK, but he also wrote this book, Greetings from Bury Park, which is a very good title pun, I think, really primo stuff, about his childhood as a Pakistani kid in Luton who unexpectedly is really passionate and really connects with the music of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a fish out of water, would you say?
How would you relate to this? A fish encountering different water to usual, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when I was rewatching it there, I was just thinking to myself, well, putting the racial factor into it is, I mean, it's not artificial. Some people might say, no, it was put in
took
as
Springsteen and they've made him woke.
Yes, but that's not paying any attention to anything ever. But never mind. But the fact that it was the actual author's own story is, the point. But it also I think it enlarges an English person liking something that's seen as quintessentially American. You know, it was able to draw on a big thick canvas saying different area, different time, different people, different background. There's a universality to what this music in particular could do, you know. So yeah, it's. I mean, I was thinking as I was watching it, it's got lots of things like Pride, Brassed Off,
I thought of
even Full
Pride when I
Monty.
watched it. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
like Pride is my high watermark for how to do politics in a big feel-good mainstream film, how
yeah,
to have
yeah,
that mix work, and this did remind me of Pride, which I think is, high praise.
yeah. There's a rich vein of writers who had that experience of the 80s growing up, I think,
Yeah.
and they've been able to put it into. I mean, it is very Springsteen-ish. I think they've put it quite mainstreamly. They've put it. It's not unpredictable. You're
Yeah.
fairly sure what you're going to get, and it pays off usually. The payoff is quite satisfactory.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would be. The biggest surprise for me for Blinded by the Light was the almost Bollywood-esque dance scenes. They were
Yes.
they were just like magnificent. I thought, despite someone who cannot stand musicals, I just thought, oh God bless. They're just so utterly innocent and joyous and dreadful, and nothing I would ever do in a million years. No, I'd be in the corner going, "Oh God, is that Rob Brydon?" Yeah. Big
But
shout out to Bryden's wig as well, by the way.
Bryden's wig is superb. Yeah.
He's a huge Springsteen fan as well, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that.
So
yeah.
I guess he might have shouted to try and get in that role. I don't know.
Well, the Born to Run musical number has, like, for me, the most perfect moment of the film where they're running through Luton singing this song, and they pause just at a picket line, and all of the people on the picket line join in with a "Whoa!"
Yeah, it's
great. I love that.
As far as musical biopics go as well, I think it's not a biopic, obviously, but I mean, there have been musicals made from rock music, and they, in my opinion, because I don't like musicals, but also music biopics recently, I thought have been, I thought they were pretty bad. The Queen one I thought was diabolical. The Elton John one I thought was not any good anyway. I'm still waiting for the Ozzy Osbourne one directed by Rob Zombie. But I think that would be quite nice. But yeah, I said, I hate the musicals, and a friend said to me years ago, what if they do a Bruce one? I said, well, I'm screwed, aren't I? I've just shot myself in the But Blinded by the Light, I hoped was going to be where they kept it to, and then they went and did one. So but yeah, I thought, just Blinded by the Light is just very funny as well.
Yeah,
but also managing to be meaningful. It's the dad and everything like that in it. I mean, you could draw parallels to a lot of the stuff that went on in Deliver Me From Nowhere. I think there's a lot of the same thing, but then that's what they did. That's what they aimed for.
Yeah, I think one of the things that pushes it beyond novelty, that pushes it beyond this capsule description of, child of Pakistani immigrants in a London suburb likes this very American music, isn't that weird? The thing that gives it weight is the fact that in the background there is an authentically Springsteen-ish thing going on, which is his dad gets fired from the local car manufacturing plant that gets mothballed, shipped overseas. The National Front are on the march, spraying racist graffiti everywhere. And when you look at it from this angle, you do think, oh yeah, obviously, what? Why would this guy be into Springsteen? He's living in a Springsteen song.
Yeah. I could literally, I think they did as well, but you can literally write the same lyrics for several of the scenes in the film, which they did, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's why, isn't he? But the thing that gets me is, and there is a thing in it in the film, I think, which is they were saying, why aren't you into? Did they say Curiosity Killed the Cat was one of them? One of the
It
bands they
was,
did,
yeah.
which
This is
immediately I
like,
had a flashback to my 1987 senior school, and I just thought, oh, them, ew, you know. I just thought, yeah, but where were the bands talking about the fact that Thatcher just won another election at
yeah.
the time? Maybe I was of the wrong age and I didn't know where they were, but
I
yeah.
think they all claim they were singing about that now, don't they? It's all like, oh well. I think if you actually look at the lyrics to "Star Trekking" by The Firm, you'll find that it's
Well,
really
I
about.
feel, yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
varied, isn't it? Yeah. I've always thought, yeah, Level 42 were definitely all about the oppressed masses.
yeah. They were spanking their bases like Thatcher was spanking Britain's oppressed working
Oh
classes.
dear.
Yeah,
Yeah. The funny thing was, though, actually, the first record I bought ever, first
yeah.
record I bought was 1984, was Two Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Super.
And I know I was cool for a few minutes. And and that was a very political record.
Of course. Yeah.
Extremely. I mean, they were gay, they were left wing, and they were from Liverpool. I mean, that is a hat trick of things that Thatcher will have hated. And they absolutely, for a few months, 1984, they were everywhere and they were destroying stuff. I still watch the every so often that you can see it on YouTube. Holly Johnson on their 9th week of #1. Do you
Yeah.
know the performance?
I don't know.
He's in a white suit. They always came up dressed incredibly. I mean, there was one where he's in a white suit, Holly Johnson, and he's reading the Sun newspaper, and the Sun had just outed him to his grandparents by turning up on their grandparents' doorstep, telling them that their son was gay and had AIDS, which wasn't true. So
Yeah.
he was, and the this was going on, and he's reading the Sun newspaper, and the air raid siren at the beginning of the song's going on, and then when it finishes, he looks to the camera and then just rips the Sun in half and throws it away, and it is a magnificent gesture, absolutely superb. And I thought the BBC must have been having kittens at that point. But, and then he starts walking through the crowd with his walking stick and with his little American and Soviet flags he's pushing around. The whole thing is an absolute wonder, and I doubt most in the audience got it.
Yeah.
But it's, and the video, of course, is banned. That's still one of the most moving videos you'll ever, not moving, but graphic ones. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I never really noticed politics sort of thing. Live Aid happened in '85, and then, but were there any songs going on about that? I don't seem to remember them.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think we should talk a bit about how this film treats the wider 80s music landscape, because we've touched on it. And some of it is, where the film is funniest. There's this character who's like the school disc jockey on the school radio. Colin
the young
Hand.
Alan Partridge.
He is so Junior Partridge. Yeah.
Junior Partridge. His little guitar solo during, what song was he? It might even have been Level 42. It was
Lessons in Love, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Playing. Well, he'll have been playing bass then. He says musically.
Well, that's even more Partridge. That's Partridge miming to Music for Chameleons, isn't it?
Yeah. The first 15-20 minutes is purely 80s music. You don't get anything in there.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of, I think, of setting your scene. Your ears are ready for it. And it's completely slipped my mind which tracks they actually put in, because the rest of the film, kind of blew me away a bit.
Of course.
The songs that they did use, I think, were perfect as well. And they absolutely jumped me straight back to my senior school as being the ones that everyone loved. Funny enough, my sister, that was mostly my sister's music. So,
the one that stood out for me, because I was listening, I watched this and I watched the DVD commentary. Which has Gurinder Chadha, the director, and Safraz Manzoor both on it. And she says that one of the tough ones that they had to kind of arm wrestle for in terms of music rights was the one over the opening credits, which is It's a Sin by Pet Shop Boys.
Yes.
And
it's still a great choice.
It's a great choice.
It's a really great choice, yeah.
Neil Tennant was slightly concerned that, like, you're making the Bruce Springsteen film. So obviously any music that isn't Bruce Springsteen is going to be there so you can say it's shit. Which, that might be how some of the songs here are used, but it's definitely not how that song is used, I think.
Does it come back later, or is there another Pet Shop Boys song they use?
I don't know. I think she said that they use The Sun Always Shines on TV by a couple of times because they had to pay quite a bit of money for that, and they just wanted to get their money's worth out of it.
I suppose the money rates, but would have come into a lot of them. But it's a sort of weird period, that sort of 86, 87-ish, early 80s. I don't know if this is because of my age. I was first listening to Top of the Pops and things like that period. So early 80s, I can literally pub quiz like a bee.
Yeah.
I will walk a pub quiz on early 80s new wave, post-punk sort of thing, and pop. Later 80s, it just seemed to me to dissolve quite a bit. It became quite wine bar London-esque sort of thing. I think a lot of pop tried to be a bit sophisticated, and
it's a sort of admission of defeat in a lot of ways, isn't it? It's saying, okay, we've had bands like Frankie Goes to Hollywood and the Pet Shop Boys who were tempted to turn the Thatcherite society of the spectacle back on itself and smuggle intelligent stuff in mainstream pop. And fucking hell, she's just won a third term, right? Who cares about anything anymore?
Yeah. I think a lot around that yuppie era was there was a performance on Top of the Pops I keep remembering when BBC Four rerun Top of the Pops, and to me, I watch it and I just think this is everything that was wrong with that period. Everything. And it really was just like the sort of thing you can imagine that Spandau Ballet and Human League were just having a cocktail in the corner while everyone was milling around.
Yes.
And in London in the 80s, with a mobile phone the size of a tennis court, and it was the little mobile phone joke in the film as well was quite good.
Yes, which apparently the great Sally Phillips, who delivers that, ad-libbed the line, "Hello, this is Judith Hunter's mobile telephone," which round of applause there, I think.
To get to really hammer the point home, she's got one.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think as far as 80s music goes for that period, it was the 80s underground, the 80s indie. So I won't have heard anything about it really as a 12 to 15-year-old. That was the time when a lot of that was happening, and I can only know about it by looking back and going, oh yeah, that stuff.
Is it Corey
R.E.M.
Chalader pushing ahead of the Dame, the David Bowie song by song blog? I forget his name, but he made the very good point that by 1987, you've had people like Prince releasing big statement double albums, and you also have debut albums from people like the Pixies and the KLF. And it's at this point that you can sort of say, all right, 80s kind of ends here. We're looking at the birth of the 90s right now.
Yeah. I've always had this theory that decades don't fit in with the year.
It's very true.
The 90s didn't start till about 1997, 96. It was very slow. If you look at anything, we all assume the 90s was Oasis and Britpop. If you look at any time before that, you look at it and think, oh, that's the 80s. It wasn't. It was very brown. It was very shirts tucked in. And you look at the early 90s, and it was to me the 90s didn't properly start until about 96, 97.
Well, part of that is like something that I think this film touches on more in its design than its text, but is that if you live somewhere that is outside a big urban centre, as we both do, if you live somewhere in a former industrial town or a village or a suburb, the decade takes a while to approach. Like, I think this is a very true
Yes.
picture of the late 80s. And
Yeah.
part of the reason why I think it is true is because everything looks like the 70s.
Yeah.
It did when I was growing up. The 80s
Yeah.
just did not arrive in Middlesbrough until,
No.
as you say, the 90s.
No. Yeah. We discovered a photograph a printed photograph amongst our family's massed archive. It was actually Christmas '87, and I had a Puma tracksuit on.
Yes.
And I remember I'd specifically asked for it because everyone at school had one, and if I didn't have one, I'd be, I'd stand out too much. And yeah, there it was, a nice dark blue and turquoise. And but yeah, I mean, that was by 1987, and by the time I got that, everyone was wearing shell suits, so I missed that boat. It was all Fila and Campari, so I'd missed that boat royally. That was the market stall was a good thing in Blinded by the Light, because I don't know how many people, unless you were from that era, remember how much parents bought your clothes from the market.
Yes.
It's just not done anymore, really, because they don't exist. And speaking of tracksuits, I was telling a friend the other day that because Liverpool have gone back to Adidas with the three stripes. The three stripes is kind of 80s stroke 90s synonymous. And I always, everyone was having the Adidas in the 80s, but we couldn't afford that. So what my parents did, thinking they were doing the right thing, is they got me one from the market, but it was only two stripes. It was a knockoff. And I got mocked mercilessly at school for having what they called Adidas Mr. Stripe. I told a friend the other day, I said, have you still got that? Because that would be absolutely, a legendary piece. And I thought, well, don't be daft. We got it off the market. It fell apart after one term.
Yes.
That's
the
made
problem.
Of this grotty, horrible material that just fell apart. But yeah, the old two-stripe stuff. But on the market stall in the film, I thought, yeah, this is,
That's the sort of thing you don't put in unless you've lived through that era, isn't it? The market stall.
Yeah. There was one touch that I absolutely adored, and immediately I thought, this is going to be fairly okay, and that was the little traffic light air freshener in the car.
Yes.
Those horrific things that smelled like fly traps. And
they were designed to make you car sick, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah, and the little glass dome on the front was far too nice for whatever it was meant to do. But hanging one of them up, I thought, I'm glad someone's kept one, that they're doing that. And I was also finding myself leaning towards the screen at the pound notes.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that. I was like, I remember pound notes. Do you remember them? Are you old enough, or are you still a youth?
No, I do dimly remember pound notes. Yeah, it wasn't as seismic a thing in my life as when the £2 coin came in, which I very clearly remember. Because that's amazing. It's so massive, and it's got two colours on it.
Two pieces of metal in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, pound notes. They were they were tiny as well.
Yeah.
And they had Isaac Newton on the back, and they were green, and that was one of them. And a 50p piece was my pocket money. So, but doing things like, I guess someone stored them somewhere, things along with the fashions.
Yeah.
And there was again another lovely bit in the film when he comes running out, and I think they're doing Born to Run, is it? And the goths just stop and stare at them. It's a magnificent moment. Because if we're talking about 80s music, goth was just starting around that time as well, wasn't it? There'll have been the Mission.
Yes.
The sisters were beginning to raise their dark heads.
Now that was a part of the 80s that came up to the northeast immediately.
Did it? I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah, in my recollection, it was like because I admit I was a child in the 80s, but I I think I would remember anyone go around looking like the dude from Flock of Seagulls. But I saw goths. I knew who goths were.
Yeah. That's the thing. 80s, early 90s, alternative was all you called them. Now there is a whole array of different terms and subdivisions. It was just alternative. And if you saw goth, it was specifically a goth alternative. And those were the tribes.
Yeah.
And in Blinded by the Light, there's a bit where he looks around the room, the dining room, and he identifies the little groups. And I mean, kind of, but for my school, there was only two. And the funny thing was, the alternative kids were the poorer ones.
Yeah.
They were definitely the poorer ones. I don't know if they found some sort of rebellious, sort of unaccepted, non-mainstream feelings towards that. But then again, when we're talking about why Springsteen, for me, it's a case of that sort of stuff I got into as the 90s progressed and I became an adolescent. But Bruce didn't fade. Bruce got stronger, in fact.
Yeah.
And it was another thing I often got asked and mocked about by my more alternative and punky friends that now years later accept it and like it. So,
I think I probably had a similar journey, because I was like, music I was listening to in the 90s, aside from Radiohead, I guess, is at that very kind of postmodern end of the 90s. It's Pulp, it's the Beastie Boys, it's Blur, it's Beck. The sheer unironicness of Springsteen's music was quite jarring to me at that time. And so I couldn't appreciate something like, Born to Run being this kind of wrenching song about homelessness and dispossession and, the veterans' experience being done in this upbeat, thumping style, because I just thought, no, but it's too much like that. He's singing it like he means it, rather like he's got one eyebrow raised. This isn't what it's meant to be like.
Yeah. I think that's why in the 90s he had his worst decade. Other than sacking the band, but that's another matter. But in the 90s, it just didn't work. I think he didn't work at all and didn't come back until the 2000s. But it's, again, you say that about irony as well. I've always said, like, for example, some film directors I like, I think I said it to you a long time ago, for example, like Terrence Malick, people said he's pretentious, and I said, no, he's not, he means it.
Yes, yeah.
He really means it. Now, that's a whole different kettle of fish, that he means all of this. Whether you agree with what he says is different. But he's not pretentious. He really means it.
And also, he actually knows his shit. It's like, I have no problem calling a director pretentious if I think they're just bluffing the intellectual content of their films. But Terrence Malick is a Heidegger scholar, for fuck's sake.
But it's, again, with Bruce, you got it exactly right. He does actually mean what he says, which is it can be a bit of a jar. It's so much of music is captured around an ironic sort of distance and poetry, poetic, which is great. It's totally fantastic. A lot of the ones I like are like that. But it's funny that the boy in the film was trying to be a poet, and it wasn't until writing less poetically, I think, that he got to be, well, poetic, lyrical.
Yes. I think that's one of the parts where the film is really righteously cringy, in that it does get the sort of feeling of being a teenage poet who's just getting into the lyrics of a rock star. Is like, if you want to observe this honestly, you have to be completely at peace with the fact that it's embarrassing, because everyone's embarrassing when they go through that.
Yeah. Did you, another Springsteen fan that always amused me? I don't know if you know Elizabeth Wurtzel.
I didn't know that.
She wrote Prozac Nation. If you look at Prozac Nation and the follow-up to it, it's full of her talking, not full, but there's whole sections where she talks about the album Tunnel of Love, his breakup album. And again, it's another one that just jars completely.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I remember reading it thinking, and I actually took some slight solace in the fact, not from equating to the depression side that she was on, which I, was anyway, but the fact that she was openly a Bruce fan. That's what I took from Prozac Nation. I found solace in another fan. That someone could be cool and still get away with it, That's quite a shocking admission, really. Oh, the medication, the pharmacization of depression, the overuse of medication in children, the description of children in the 90s as being used. Nah, what record she bought in '87? That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
That's what does it for me.
But that's like that happens when you're that big fan of someone, because there's always a part of me where whenever I think about Edward Norton, multi-award winning actor Edward Norton, been in countless iconic films, one of the most acclaimed American actors of his generation, and there is still a part of me that always goes, big Radiohead fan.
Yay. Yeah, we connect. We can have that conversation when we meet,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's another one. There's another big fan. You see Ed Norton, there's another one, I can't remember his name. He was in oh dear me. It's age, the brain's getting, it's the amount of painkillers I'm on at the moment. That's what the problem is.
Prozac Nation.
The film, he's the hitman, and it's in the 80s. Minnie Driver's in it.
Oh, John Cusack.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, he's a huge Springsteen fan as well. And of course, it was in the music film he did. Is it
High Fidelity?
High Fidelity, yeah. Bruce, it was at the time his only cinema appearance.
Yes.
He very briefly appears it as a cutaway. But yeah.
And he's
John Cusack as well as another one.
Benevolent deity in that film, isn't he, Springsteen, if I remember it right?
Yeah. It is as well. You got another thing to look at as well is how classic. I mean, they did it quite well in the fact that it was a Pakistani man that was a British Pakistani, but he's seen as so overly male.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you know me personally, I don't sit comfortably with that. But I think Bruce has always carried the vulnerability.
I was going to say,
there's a vulnerability to it. There's
yeah.
He's quite openly able to sing these songs about. I mean, Brilliant Disguise, the song from the Divorce album Tunnel of Love, is just destroys this notion of a man and a rock star. It completely tears it all down and says that he was the failure. And the video, do you know the video for it? It's quite amazing. No. It's him sat at a kitchen table in black and white. That's sort of a late 80s black and white that was sort of kind of video-ish. And he's singing it, and he does on several of his videos, it's live vocals. And the camera just slowly zooms in, no cuts, until it's right on his eyes and his face. And that's it.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. And it's this whole thing he's singing about how he's failed in his marriage and he's not a good enough man. And it just zooms slowly throughout the whole 3.5 minutes until it's on his eyes. And then it fades to black and you just think, bloody hell.
That's great.
It was powerful. But yeah, the whole, I mean, in the film, the bit where he's cutting the arms off the shirt.
Yes.
His check shirt. I mean, you could look back on an awful lot of that and say that's very gay culture, really, wasn't it? There was a lot of the 80s, the headbands.
Yeah.
I know there was an interview I saw with Springsteen recently where we were talking about the band in the 80s. He in the 70s he told the band, we wear suits or whatever, shirts. Yeah. So they were looking like a rhythm and blues band. And then when it came to Born in the USA, he just said, just do what you want. And if you look at the tour photos, it's just utter carnage. It's horrific. It's and he looks back at it, and of course, Bruce was muscling up at the time, and he has his headband and his leather jacket with the sleeves cut off. You just think, this is really well, for want of a better word, 80s gay.
Yeah.
And you just look at it, you just think it really, really was. There's giant cowboy hats and things like that. You're just thinking, Frankie Goes to Hollywood are going to come on stage in a minute. This is a sport band. But yeah, it was quite funny. But yeah, there's the idea of masculinity as well. That's strangely. You'd look at Born in the US and think it's all masculine, but as you would think it's all American, but it isn't. Which is it's a strange thing.
We should talk about the cast here because I think they're fantastic. And I think that one of the things that really works about this film is that although you do have a lot of great a lot of great actors and comedians who you'll definitely recognize, most of them are playing like one or two scene roles. The stage is quite rightly ceded to the young cast who are just wonderful, I think.
The dad is, dad's quite impressive in it, I think.
Gurinder, who, I mean, this is another thing that was huge for me growing up, was one of the core four in Goodness Gracious Me.
Yes, yeah.
And it's great sort of seeing him at this age and basically getting the role where if this was made 10 years before it was, Puri would have a lock on that role. Like, for a long time, he was cinema's defining Pakistani dad. And it's great knowing that now he's gone, sadly, Gurinder can pick up that baton. He's so good at that.
It was, I mean, obviously the dad was a big... You say about other small roles in it, that the man who lived, like, next door, the old man,
yes,
he was interesting, but I thought he was almost underused. I don't know. It almost made me feel like they forgot about him in the second part of the film, almost. Or I don't know.
Yeah, David Heyman. I don't know. I don't mind that because I think the scene that he has that puts the focus most on him when he finds one of Javid's poems is so powerful that I don't know what else you could do with that character that didn't dilute the beauty of that moment.
Did you think going through it that until we actually saw him knock on the door that he was going to be a secret Nazi?
I think, I
thought he was going to be one of those. I thought with him looking at him and watching him, I was convinced he's going to be the nice guy, but he's also really racist. That's how I thought it was going to go.
And that the film plays into that when he knocks on that door and Gurinder character answers it, and he's really apologetic. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my son's writing all this rubbish." He's really trying to do what he thinks is de-escalation until he reveals that there's actually no reason to do that.
But yet the father still wants to hide, which is the tragic of the difference between the generations. I think the dynamic there.
Absolutely.
His mate that gives him the two cassettes. Do you know him?
I don't know much about that guy, Aaron Fagura, but he's wonderful because he gives it such intensity, doesn't he?
Yeah.
When he's talking about Bruce, there is an absolute evangelical fervor about him that is perfect for someone playing a teenage pop fan, and it contrasts so well with Vivek Kalva as Javed, the babe he's leading through the woods. Yeah, that guy must have done some more stuff. Let me see if I can look up some other.
He didn't, because you don't know anything about him, do you? The character. No. Nothing at all. He just is almost like a guardian's angel pops up and takes him along and guides him, and at the end says, "My work is done, and I shall gallop off into the sunset on my motorbike."
I have to go now. My planet.
Yeah, I have to go. other teenage boys need me. Which is possibly a strange thing to say, but
bad way of phrasing it. But I think we get what you mean.
Yeah, it's a Bruce Springsteen version of Highway to Heaven, isn't it? Or what a horrifying thought. But Yeah, are you looking him up at the moment, or?
Yeah, there's sadly not that much after Blinded
Ah.
by the Light. I mean, he was in a Peter Capaldi 8 episode of Doctor Who, so forever in my heart, I think. But yeah,
There was a
he should.
fantastic touch. The bandana under his turban was a magnificent
Yes,
touch. That was really funny, I thought.
yeah,
This
it's
is
dead
genius. But yeah,
I mean,
I
I'm
saw
looking at pictures of him at premieres, and you would not get that it was the same guy. So I'm impressed at how transformative his performance is. And yeah, anyone who's looking for a lead for your British film right now, Aaron Figura, man, look at that guy. He's really, really good.
The who was the teacher?
Haley Atwell.
Haley Atwell, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was looking at it thinking, I really know who she is, but I didn't.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I'm having a look at Haley.
I feel like
Come on.
you maybe
Come on, internet, don't hate me.
Who has to Google Haley Atwell at this
stage. Come on, what's going on? Cast, Haley Atwell. Oh, Sally Phillips, I knew that one, yeah.
Yeah. Sally Phillips, Rob Brydon. I think
I've just looked at Haley Atwell and went, oh yeah, that one.
yeah, of course it's Haley Atwell. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I knew that. What are you on about? Yeah.
I feel like about 80% of the young cast were in Game of Thrones, which I haven't watched much of, but there's that.
His mate from the beginning, his bandmate, he had makeup on, right? It wasn't just my copy that was bad. He was
he was properly, new romantic up.
New romantic, not new age. Yeah, he was. I thought so. I was watching it going, is this just a bad copy or whatever? Or is it, the streaming's not well? But I thought, no, he's proper new romantic sort of, and all that. And I thought that was... And he's just come back from a Spanish holiday, which I thought was hilarious because we didn't have Spanish holidays. We had caravans in Scarborough. And it was the mark of being a cool family that you had the Spanish holiday. So, when he said, I've just come back from Spain, I was just like, yeah, they all did. But he was pretty good. I liked him.
Yeah, I did.
It was. And his girlfriend, what was she called? Was that Eliza?
No, Eliza was Javid's girlfriend. Emma, played by Kit Reeve, I think, is who you're thinking of for Matt's girlfriend.
No, Javid's girlfriend.
Oh, Javid's girlfriend. Sorry, yes, that was
Eliza.
Yes.
Nell Williams. Here we go.
Yeah. I connected a lot with that character because I also fell into that terrible trap of thinking, oh, Bruce Springsteen, that's Republican dad music. The Smiths are what young left wingers should be listening to.
Oh yes, yeah. And she took him to a good gig, didn't she? She took him to a good gig.
We have both backed the wrong horse here, girl.
Helen Baxendale is her mom.
Really? I didn't spot her.
Helen Baxendale is her mom, yeah.
But isn't that great? Isn't that great that, you've got these actors in and no one's showboating, no one's trying to take the attention away from the young actors in the lead. It's just like, you get 1 or 2 scenes for them to play off. And then you just move on. You do, you keep following their story instead.
Yeah. I mean, look, Rob Brydon, he's in it, 1, 2, 3 scenes?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's obvious who it is, and the wig is a bigger star than he is. But but it's still, it's yeah. I think if they do too much showboating, it detracts from the characters themselves, really, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah. You remember
and I think they all managed
watching famous comedians and famous actors in a way that, for some movies, that works. For a broader, wackier movie, it might work, but it's not right for this.
Well, I mentioned before things like the Full Monty. The funny thing about that was that the actors afterwards became famous. So
yeah,
retrospectively you watch it and go, oh, that's his first role or whatever. Not first, but but yeah. But like you said, it's I wouldn't. Marcus Brigstock's in it.
Yeah, he's Eliza's awful
Is
dad.
he the Tory dad? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And Olivia Poole, she portrayed Carol Thatcher in the film Margaret. There's a typecasting.
Yeah, that's
and she dated Benedict Cumberbatch.
Did she?
Yes. British cinema actors is just a tangled web. I think Hollywood's a web, but it's and it all revolves around all of it revolves either around comedies in the early 90s or Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Or Harry Potter, which takes everything.
Yes. That's like a black hole, isn't it?
Yeah. 2019.
But yes. Are there any other thoughts about Blinded by the Light before we wrap up? I daren't ask if there are any other thoughts about Bruce Springsteen, because I know that could take a while.
It's funny. You could look at it. I mean, I can look on it. I watched it again, obviously, just this week, and last week I saw Deliver Me from Nowhere. I hate to say Blinded by the Light is a better film, but it's structured better. Have you seen Deliver Me from Nowhere?
Not yet.
No. There's a good movie in there. I think there's a really good movie in there. Blinded by the Light doesn't aim as loosely. It's got exactly I wouldn't say exactly what's going to happen, but it's the we talked about the beats that it hits, the expectations you have, and the payoff that it gives you. So I think aiming for that kind of film, and your cast work and the music there and the sincerities in the writing, you'll succeed. Deliver Me from Nowhere tries for something a bit less coherent, and then funnily enough, because it's Deliver Me from Nowhere is about the album Nebraska, his acoustic album he recorded in his bedroom, but it's more about his breakdown. And for an album that was famously told the studio to get stuffed and I'm going to make it of my own accord, there are some scenes in Deliver Me from Nowhere you think the studio's come in and said, add this. There's a couple of scenes that you just think, wow, they're creaky. It's literally the manager talking to his wife, explaining what Bruce is feeling, and you're like, we don't need this, and it's really bad, and it's look forward to it coming out on disc so I can just press fast forward through that scene, because it's just awful, and it literally makes me feel like they shot it afterwards and stuck it in. So Blinded by the Light holds together better as a film. And it's also, but again, what can I say? It's an easier film.
Yeah.
I think you would put it on for more fun, despite how serious some of the tones are in it and that sort of thing. So watching it after, watching it roughly at the same time as Deliver Me from Nowhere, it's, like I said, we didn't get any Nebraska in Blinded by the Light. There were no songs about the Starkweather homicides in there, but and the bit where he picks the poster and says, "Is that Billy Joel?"
That's great. Yes,
I wanted to kick the screen. It's like, oh, you like Bruce Springsteen? You like Billy Joel? Then die horribly. just go be involved in a train accident with a steak knife or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's. But yeah, Deliver from Nowhere is, again, it has that thing where it's more earnest. It possibly could be too earnest. There's a lot of staring at the distance and writing in notepads, and it does get better in the final third. I think it really picks up there. But Blinded by the Light, I'm almost tempted to say, this is what I was thinking. I've just remembered what I was going for. Blinded by the Light could almost be seen as the prequel to Deliver Me from Nowhere.
Right.
Deliver Me from Nowhere, could you imagine there would be I know it's actually got Springsteen in Deliver Me From Nowhere, but it strikes me as something like if he'd gone into a band, Javid, and it hadn't worked fully. Deliver Me From Nowhere was what that would have come to, I think. I don't know.
I see. Yeah.
Whenever I see films, one of my favorite, well, not favorite, but one of the things I like to do is imagine if there's a film that's quite well characterized, to see what would it be like to come back to them in 10 years' time, which is kind of a Springsteen thing, because Born to Run, when he released the album after that, he said Born to Run is when they hit the car and got in the car and drove off. Darkness in Your Town is realized when they had to come home. You know, and that's kind of, you know, it ends on the joyous note of him going off to Manchester. That's something I really want to mention as well. Blind by Light, its naivety is immense.
Yeah.
The joy of the idea of going to Manchester University is the savior of everything is wonderful. I'm leaving Manchester and going to Luton and going to Manchester,
and that's very real. That for that era, like of every single polytechnic became a university. You know, the idea of going to university if you were a working class kid was absolutely, you know, it meant something. It was a real step forward.
And his belief that America was the answer to everything is.
Yes,
you might cringe at it, but I think you've got to look at it from that 80s perspective.
Totally,
you know, and from, you know, that thing. It's I think I'm glad they didn't try and rewrite it so that he was more aware and said, "Oh, you know, this," but it was just a joyful, exuberant naivety, you know, and that maybe you are thinking years to come, will he have a different perspective? You know, is it will we have a movie in 10 years' time like Before Sunset where he's working in a cafe in New Jersey, and it hasn't worked in the mid-90s, you know, and Bruce has not released an album for ages, the E Street Band have split up, and Clinton is a disappointment in the White House, you know. There's your sequel. It could be called the track from Born in the USA, I'm Going Down. So...
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I like that the movie allows us space for all, you know, it's not a subtle movie. It is a very naive movie, as you say, but it allows us space to work out how we feel about something like Javid's idealization of the USA.
It's as well, I mean, one thing I did like as well is it made you actually come to sympathize for the dad.
Yeah, totally.
Throughout it all, and then it got you to feel for the dad, and I thought that was again, it's one of those things that if you're doing script writing courses, they'll tell you to do the resolution at the third, you know, the final act, where you'll reverse the things and everything is toned out. But it's still, there's a comfort to knowing that and seeing how it's done, but not losing any of the meaning to it. You know,
I think
they did do it quite well.
If you can do that formula and make it feel human, still make it feel like it's not just hitting the beats, like it's something the characters are earning, it's still a magical thing. Yeah,
I mean, like we said, Pride, what you said, that there was pretty much no beat in it that you didn't know was coming, but it still was worth it. It still had you wanting to watch it. And so that's. She's not made a film since 2019. Christmas Karma. That sounds terrifying. It's got Danny Dyer in and Pixie Lott. It might well be.
Well, dare I say it? If it's got
Tracy Ann Oberman in. Oh no, it's got Tracy Ann Oberman in.
This is our follow-up episode, isn't it? If it's got Pixie Lott in, that's what we're doing next.
Christmas Karma is an upcoming British Christmas musical comedy drama film. It's a Bollywood-inspired adaptation of A Christmas Carol.
Sweet Christ.
I've had heart surgery. I shouldn't be saying that sort of thing. I'm sorry, but the Muppets have sealed the deal on Christmas movies, as far as I'm concerned. But, so, Blinded by the Light. 2 thumbs up, I think.
Yeah, and
I would-
enjoyed it thoroughly. I think maybe more films about pop fandom could be the antidote to our current biopic fatigue. I think there's untapped
Biopic,
material there.
yeah. Oh, what do you think it could be then?
Where you
I
would
mean,
have to
I
have strict
dread.
cut-off point. You would have to have
Yeah.
strict cut-off point because all modern pop fandoms, and I say this as a Swiftie, all modern pop fandoms are fucking mental. Like, you could not make an audience sympathise with them. They're too weird.
I also have a feeling that you can't put the vast amount of internet and social media onto a cinema screen.
No,
I don't
you
think you
wouldn't
could
want
put
to.
people spreading words on TikTok. You can see videos, you can see tweets. You can't put that impetus around of, when Taylor Swift tagged in people at Christmas, where she very magnanimously called it Swiftmas. And you couldn't put that on a screen. You can put it on the screen, but it don't mean nothing.
Yeah, you got
Not
to
when
keep it to that
people look at it on
mixtape
Twitter.
era.
Yeah, it's so there is a point where it doesn't. You're right. There has to be a cutoff. Yeah. I mean, Morrissey fans might be interesting. They're quite obsessive.
That's very true. Yeah, there's a documentary that I've never seen called "Is It Really So Strange?" about Mexican Morrissey fans. I would love to track that down.
That sounds amazing. I just thought another one that would be really good would be, you'd never get it, Happy Mondays fans or whatever. The Happy Mondays biopic is something we need.
Yes.
With Danny Dyer as Sean Ryder, I think it's got to be done. But yeah. The fans have got to have that sort of outsider level to them, but at the same time,
yes.
Because if the fans are too, and I'm saying this, REM fans, I think, despite being there quite nerdy and geeky, they are quite basically, they were cool because REM were cool.
I would obviously agree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they gave me a little bit of kudos as a cover, a shield for my Springsteen album. I could happily carry Monster, and behind it I had, Ghost of Tom Joad, and I was safe. Yeah, I'm really liking this idea of doing another biopic like that for a fandom.
I think we might have already, if we're talking about subcultures and sort of that last gang in town mentality, we might have already said our answer. Goths.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. And gothdom is so ripe for wit.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you, a lot of my goth friends had almost no humour at all. And I'm quite sarcastic. I don't know if you've noticed, but it was just red rag to a bull. I loved them dearly, and I agreed with so much of what they did, and I loved the stuff. But at the same time, it was brilliant. The guy who went to Blazers and took his poetry book and sat in the corner reading it, I just thought, dude, mate, you didn't even go in the black room. You went in the white room, mate. I mean, come on. This is a person who went to a goth night with his mates in the early 90s and put on a Hawaiian shirt just to sort of liven things up. And they almost didn't speak to me. It was wonderful. And I was just stood there grinning my head off like the loon that I am. And it was just, yeah. But goth as well. Leicester and Leeds were the heart of gothdom in the 90s and 80s as well. So you've got, something that, oh God, haven't my brain's
regional.
I love this idea now.
Kind of thing, yes. Well, I think I shall leave you to brainstorm the script for Goths
the horrors.
Exclamation mark.
Very Gothmas, yeah.
Yes.
Darkened by the light or the lack of light or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they would be literally blinded by the light.
I'll leave you with this joke that my friend, when I went to see Deliver Me From Nowhere last week, because I'm still walking quite slowly because of the heart thing, and my friend said, that the valve that was the problem is congenital, I was born with it. And he looked at me and went, so what you're telling me is you weren't born to run? The worst thing is he's going to be doing this for about 4 years, this joke. And that's just like, well done, thank you. I'm here all week.
Excellent.
Fantastic human being he is.
Listen, just to remind listeners, is there anywhere people can find you online?
Oh, crumbs. I mean, I have an Instagram and things like that. I have a Medium, but I have almost completely forgotten about it this year. Life's kind of caught up with me a little bit. But I do intend to put a load of stuff about my whole little medical drama on there. Oh God, that sounds like Holby City. So when I figure out that, can I send you something, or do you want it to be read out by me at the moment?
Well,
I can send you
let's leave it there.
Where are we now? It says Ian Robinson on my Medium, but Smoggy Wood Productions.
Oh yes, yeah,
that's me. I believe I'm the only person. There is a Smoggy Films. Damn them all. I will find them, but they're not me. They're not as good as me. But went a bit macabre there. Yes, Smoggy Wood Productions is me. That's so it's on YouTube. Medium is on there, and I think there might be Facebooks and Instagrams. I haven't really done much in that area this year, to be honest. So I shall have to return to the world of the typing, and see what goes on. But yeah, Smoggy Wood Productions. That'll do.
As for me, you can find me on Letterboxd by searching for Graham Williamson. I am putting together a website at grahamwfabric.com. That's gradually coming together, and I'm on Instagram at Graham W Films, and you can also get tons more stuff from me and the rest of the Geek Show contributors by going to www.patreon.com/The Geek Show. But in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back. I'm hoping we'll be back with a One Battle After Another episode, which is absolutely made for pop screen, and it's nice to have something to do that isn't a very obscure old film for once. But yeah, until then, in 2 weeks' time, I've been Graham.
I've been Ian.
And we'll see you later.